Okay, so good morning. Today I am making good old-fashioned bread pudding. Okay, so any unused bread you've got, it can go be a bit stale or hard, it really doesn't matter because it's going to be soaked anyway. This is really good. You can just slice it, eat it with cream or custard for a dessert, or just with a cup of coffee or tea in the afternoon or evening. I'm going to read you the recipe to start off with, and then you can see how we're going to use the ingredients as we go through. Okay, so I'm going to read it out to you, but we'll also put the recipe in the link as well, so no worries. Okay, so we've got 400 grams of white bread. If you've got a bit of brown, put that in. Anything you've got. I've even got a couple of stale hot cross buns here, and I'm going to pop those in because again they're nice and spicy. Anything you've got. I would say not to use a lot of or all whole grain because it is going to make it quite grainy. Put a little bit in by all means, but I wouldn't use it totally for this. 600 millilitres of milk. It can be full fat, it can be semi-skimmed. 450 grams of dried fruit. Okay, 100 grams of sugar. I've measured mine out in there. 50 grams of self-raising flour. That's not a lot of flour. Two tablespoons of mixed spice, which I haven't measured out yet, but I'll do that at the end. Okay. 2 large beaten eggs. 100 grams of butter, which I'll show you at the end because I'm going to melt that. And I'll pop that in the microwave in a moment. And that's 100 grams of that, and a little bit of sugar at the end, demerara or whatever you've got, soft brown, white, granulated, really doesn't matter, to sprinkle on the top. Okay, as I say, we'll post it on the link anyway. So very, very easy to make. Again, you can do this with the kids if you've got kids. Make sure your hands are clean. Mine were washed beforehand. And all you do is you break up your bread. Literally just tear it up, quite therapeutic. Crusts are great, anything you've got is great, as I say, just not a lot of whole grain. If you want to put a bit of seeded in, brilliant. It's whatever you like. I've never tried malt loaf with this, don't know how that would work out, but you know, a bit of that might go in. So you just want to tear it up quite small, to be honest, because it's all going to mush up. So here are my stale hot cross buns. You can see they're past their best, but they're absolutely brilliant for this because they've already got spices and fruit in as well. So really tailor-made for this. This gives you just some idea of how small it has to be. Just rough, only because it needs to absorb the milk for about 10 to 15 minutes or until it's all absorbed. Obviously different breads have got different absorption rates. So, okay, so I've got my 600 ml of milk here. And literally all I do is pour it over. And that's your first step. Now that needs to soak for about 10-15 minutes, depending on your bread. So I'm just going to leave that to soak. And I'll be back later. Okay, so I've had my bread soaking with my milk. I think I've done it 15 minutes. Make sure it's absolutely mushed up. And this is what you do. You literally just mush it up with the back of a spoon. Get your hands in there. Whatever. Once it's all mushed up, but you must make sure that it's absolutely thoroughly soaked. And you just mush it all up until it's absolute mush and you can't see any bits of actual lumps of bread in there. I'm just chopping it up with my spoon, mushing it out. It's quite therapeutic, this bit. Feel free to get your hands in. You're going to have to get your hands in a minute anyway. Okay, so I think that's done. So this is the sloppy consistency that you're aiming for, and it is literally, I would say, like paper mache. It is a mush. Okay, so couldn't be easier. Bear in mind that my site is for beginners. I'm never ever going to show you a recipe that is complicated, got a lot of difficult steps. This is purely beginners baking and cooking. Okay, so we've got that. Next we're going to add our dried fruit. Okay, so you can add a little bit at a time. Just makes it easier rather than chucking it all in together. That way you get a more even mix and it's easier to control. Give that a thorough mix, make sure it's so you haven't got any bits of bread pudding without any fruit in it, because there's nothing worse than cutting yourself a chunk and yeah, it's just bread. Yep, looks about done to me. Okay, so to that I'm going to add my little bit of flour. Now I've put my mixed spice in here with my flour, that's my dry ingredients. Okay, it says 2 tablespoons in the recipe. I have to admit I put a smidge more because I do like it quite spicy, but again, absolutely up to its individual taste. And it smells amazing. And even better when it's cooking. Now this is a soppy mixture. Don't think that, oh, I've done it wrong, it looks too wet. This is not a cake mixture. This is a really, really old recipe. Bread and butter pudding, right, okay. Bread pudding, should I say? I'll show you bread and butter pudding another day. So, in goes my egg. My melted butter. And my sugar. Just normal granulated, whatever you've got. Caster, brown, not fussed. Really doesn't matter as long as it's sugar, or you can even mix it if you've got a little bit left in the bag. Give it a good thorough mix. At this point it looks like mixed concrete with currants in, don't worry about it. That's how it's meant to look. Okay, thoroughly mixed I would say. I can't feel anything at the bottom that is... It feels the same consistency all the way through, which is a sign that it's well mixed. Okay, so set that to one side. I bake mine in a silicone pan. You don't have to. You can use whatever pan you've got. But I would say reasonably shallow. If you've got a metal one, then grease it with butter or margarine You can line the bottom if you want. It's not necessary with this, to be honest, but I always bake mine in a silicone pan. Okay, always have done. Okay, so a bit of stuff, and we simply pour it. This is making a real comeback. You'll see it in the bakeries, sliced up now. They're selling it. It seems to have had a little bit of a revival. Okay, and you just smooth it out. It doesn't rise as such, so don't think it's like a cake and it's going to dome in the middle, so you have to make a dip. This is not a cake. Okay, so with that, what I do before I pop it in the oven is I pop some sugar on the top, just to make a nice crust. So just a little bit of sugar, and I sprinkle it all over the top. Again, if you've got Demerara sugar, that would work fab, but just use whatever you've got. Whatever you've got in your cupboard, it's really not a problem. Okay. And I'm going to pop this, because I'm using a silicone pan and they're quite unstable, I put this on a baking sheet and I'm going to pop it in the oven about 170, 180, depending on your oven. If you start off at 180, you can always turn it down a bit, for about 50 minutes. Now it's a slow, long bake. Okay, so I'm just going to get my sheet. Oh, so I'm not that organised. Okay, so I've popped it on my baking sheet. And I'm going to pop it in the middle of a nice warm oven. I've had my oven on for about an hour, as you can tell. Okay, so it's good temperature, and that will bake beautifully for about 50 minutes. I'll check it after 30, make sure we're going okay, and then you judge from that. Okay, 45 minutes. I've turned it round once at 30 minutes. Now it should be springy to the touch, which that is. And if I pop my cake tester out, it comes out clean. So that's when you know it's done. What I do now, while it's still absolutely baking hot out of the oven, I sprinkle sugar on it. If we do this now, then the sugar will stick to the surface of the bread pudding. If you put icing sugar on, it will just melt. So you're better off with Demerara, soft brown, or as I'm doing, just granulated. So we give it a nice even coat of that, and then all we've got to do now is leave it to cool in the pan, and then I'll show you when I turn it out later. Okay, so it's cooled now, and I've taken it out of the silicone pan and I've popped it on a chopping board. Okay, so you can see you have to really be careful because it is quite delicate when it comes out the oven. So what I do is peel the pan back and pop the board underneath and slide it on that way. Okay, so I'm now going to cut it so you can see what it looks like inside. There we go. And there's your bread pudding. Absolutely beautiful. So make and enjoy. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.